Shares of Meta or Facebook jumped Thursday after a better-than-expected Q2 earnings. The report included a strong outlook as well. Karina Mitchell has this.
Meta delivered stellar quarterly results that handily beat the street. Both earnings and revenue outperformed on both the top and bottom lines. That's a win for CEO Mark Zuckerberg and his team. He'd previously said 2023 would be a year of cost-cutting and fiscal discipline. He proved he could do it. Revenue in the second quarter climbed 11% to $32 billion, largely due to an increase in ad revenue. Ad impressions, which are key to monetization across its platforms, jumped 34% year over year, even as the price per ad went down by 16%. The tech giant also reported earnings per share of $2.98, more than the $2.92 expected. It also reported an increase in daily active users of its Facebook platform by 5% year over year and 3% quarter over quarter. It also raised guidance while saying investment in AI will take time to return a profit. Shares are up more than 160% for the year. In a statement, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg said, quote, "We continue to see strong engagement across our apps, and we have the most exciting roadmap I've seen in a while, with Llama 2, Threads, Reels, new AI products in the pipeline, and the launch of Quest 3 this fall." But it faces stiff competition in the social media landscape. It recently also launched Threads, a rival to Twitter, which just underwent a rebrand to X and has been bleeding advertisers. But now TikTok, by far the most downloaded platform, has launched new features to rival Twitter and Threads. It's launching a text feature which it says will allow creators to share their stories, poems, recipes, and other written content. TikTok is currently the world's fastest growing platform. It was also ranked the world's most popular in 2021, surpassing Google. Meanwhile, Facebook has the most monthly active users. Karina Mitchell, CGTN, New York.
For all things Meta, we bring in Rami Adib. He's the founder and general partner at the venture capital firm 1984 Ventures, which specializes in tech. Welcome to the show. I will give Zuckerberg some credit. Ever since his big speech he gave about cutting costs and driving efficiency in the decade or year of efficiency, the stock's up significantly. The business seems to be more focused, at least on its execution aspect. But I want to start with Threads, because that's been the big story the last couple of months. Is Thread, or can Threads truly take on Twitter, or is Twitter just going to melt on itself and let Threads win?
You know, I actually don't think anybody cares about that specific race between the two, right? So Facebook, as you said, Phil, they have done an amazing job executing. And if anything we have learned from this is they have demonstrated they can execute better than anybody else in social. And they never invented anything. They didn't invent Instagram, they didn't invent stories, they didn't invent Reels, they just either acquired Instagram or copied Snapchat into stories and then copied TikTok into Reels. But when it comes to Threads, the question is, who cares? Because while you and I, Phil, spend some time on Twitter and the media spends time on Twitter, all the young folks are watching video, and the future is video, not text.
So what you're saying is that Instagram is multiples more valuable, and all the other related social media aspects of it, because of the fact that what? Because people spend more time on it, or it's more profitable?
Yeah, because most people prefer to watch video than read. And in reality, a very simple analogy is Instagram or TikTok are replacements for TV, while Twitter is the modern equivalent of newspapers. But the TV has always been a much bigger and much more exciting business, right?
I've watched the videos, I've scrolled through it, I've spent unnecessary time on it. I did have a question while I was doing that. Was I didn't see a lot of ads, and it got me thinking, well, how are they making money, you know, with me spending a half hour or an hour scrolling through? How are they making money on this?
Well, they're making $32 billion in revenue. And what's remarkable, Phil, is they are putting, you know, they have really forked off TikTok which is basically into Reels, and then put it both on Facebook and on Instagram, right? And so what they have done, which is very unique, is that they now use their platforms not for different content formats, but rather for different user groups, right? So my parents are hanging out in Facebooks, my younger cousins are hanging out on on actually TikTok and Snapchat. I'm on Instagram, right? But then Facebook is delivering reels and stories and text posts to that demographic in all different areas, and they are monetizing videos exceptionally well, even if you're not seeing that many of them. And the reason is people spend, I believe it was 35 minutes on average per day, like 35 minutes on average watching these videos. Now, candidly, the Elon Zuck thing is a little bit mundane and getting out of control. This whole joke about a cage fight, and it's a lot of hubris. And I think TikTok, I really think Twitter is going to fade away into X or whatever it is, and Threads and that whole modality.
Right. But I mean, I want to be very frank with you here that a lot of us as journalists, we used to rely on Twitter to get our news, right? You'd sift through it, there'd be reports from different media outlets, and we're using it to verify sources and collect information. So we're not there to watch necessary videos. And I know we might be a slightly different target audience, but can Threads really replace what once was a credible source for a lot of people to get information, especially when it comes to breaking news?
I think the breaking news are going to be in the form of video. And I hate to say it, Phil, but you're just a lot smarter than the average individual. And your needs for truthful content in real time. People don't want to hear the breaking stories. They want to watch videos of the fire and the ladder and the disaster in New York City and the cat that fell. That's what people want, and that's what they're delivering.
What are we talking about a year from now? It's been almost a year since Zuckerberg's famous speech about revamping and re-executing and really focusing on their own platform. In the story that you heard from Karina, there's been some concerns about ad revenue, not necessarily for Facebook, but overall for the entire industry. What are we going to be talking about a year from now?
I hate to say it, Phil, but Facebook has demonstrated that it can execute really well, but it has never been able to muster that innovation to create a platform. And it's the one chip on their shoulder, right? Everybody has a platform. Microsoft has Windows. Google has Android. Even Amazon has AWS. And poor Zuck, who's been executing so well, is trying so hard to get himself a platform right. He wanted so hard to get the Oculus, hoping it would be the next platform. He rebranded the whole company into Meta, but the metaverse isn't really materializing. And then he is investing very hard in Llama for AI, hoping that maybe we'll become an AI platform. But maybe the answer is you don't need a platform, and you don't need to innovate. If you just keep executing, you'll be just fine. Microsoft can't innovate either. They just copied AWS into Azure. They just copied stuff into, they just copied Google Docs into like Live Office 365, and they're a $2.5 trillion business. So if you can't innovate, just accept it and keep executing.
I'm not sure Mark would necessarily agree with you on this, but he still, I'm pretty sure, wants to innovate, even if some of the ideas have been a little bit recycled. But from Facebook's standpoint, if they want to build an ecosystem, you could also argue they have been very successful. I mean, there are billions of people on Facebook and Instagram, and you combine all the different models, he does have an ecosystem, does he not?
He has 2.6 billion using his products daily. Who cares if it's a platform or an application, or I think these are just candidly Silicon Valley sort of terms, but at the end of the day, it is capturing attention. Now, the challenge with consumers that they're very flimsy.
All right.
Their attention is very fleeting. And he rightfully is always worried about losing the next step.
Remy, we'll continue this discussion if I make it out to San Francisco. Good to see you, and thank you for explaining to us what Facebook is or what they can or can't do. Thank you.